Okay, I made you the host. Uh, Please, for just a second, stop. If you could stop recording, I have to say something. As we all know, that Taliban have taken over Afghanistan, and the NATO forces and along with US forces have left the Afghanistan, and Taliban is going to make a government there. But many of the countries are reluctant to consider them as a legitimate leader to run the government of Afghanistan. This is a problem for many countries, as uh, uh, Afghanistan is located in a strategic location, but many countries just like India are now just waiting and watching the situations of what happens in Afghanistan later. So, what do you guys think that what should Indian government do about this matter? Ujjwal, we should start with you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So, in my point of view, I want to say that the situation which is currently occurring in Afghanistan, it's a very tense and optimistic situation right now, because as we know that Taliban is a terrorist organization. Firstly, it was a terrorist organization around 25 around in 1995. This organization got started, and they have a thinking of making the country as Islamic rule country, which means that they have a thinking which is related to their Islamic religion, that the laws and the rules, everything would be as per the Islamic rules. So as the thinking, they have a orthodox thinking related to the nature of which we are today's the world is being living all this thing. So they have a little bit orthodox uh, uh, thinking according to their laws and rules. So right now, as the situation from 15 August, when the independent day of the India got being celebrated, on that day only, uh, Afghanistan was able to occupy the whole of Taliban is able to occupy the whole Afghanistan. And at that point, only one of the state, which is Panjshir, they are not able to occupy that province. Otherwise, all the provinces of Afghanistan being occupied, captured by the by the Taliban. And at that period of that situation, only the Kabul airport was under the hold of NATO forces, mainly the US defense forces, so that the different nation can easily uh, transfer their or regenerate their troops and people who are in the embassies, who are living there, who are doing jobs in
Right,
Afghanistan.
right,
They can.
right, Ujjwal. If you could please conclude uh, at earlier possible.
Okay, okay. Talking about the Indian state, how how the India is seeing at their situation. So currently, the India is in a wait and watch situation, because as a diplomatic matter, India is being a neutral state as per this situation also, because if we support Taliban, then it will be very difficult for us to oppose China regarding the issues, border issues, the terrorist issue which are they are creating in the Kashmir Valley. And if we don't support, so Taliban, as they have already, we have been suffered from the Taliban terrorism force in 1990s also. So we can now they can also protest against us, and they can form the different
Okay, okay.
forces and send their terrorists to us also.
Thank you, Ujjwal. It's noted. And now, Shweta, if you can speak few words. You are not audible, Shweta. So, Subeksha, you can speak. Meanwhile, she can reconnect.
Okay, so as we all have known, Taliban is also another name for terrorism. They have caused a lot of problem. Wait a second, okay. They have caused a lot of problem during 1996 when the Taliban captured Kabul. They had made a really strict rules where women had to wear head to toe covering dresses. They weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to travel alone. They weren't allowed. They were against the. They weren't allowed to fulfill their rights. They weren't allowed to uh, do anything. Their work wasn't given priority, and they also caused an attack in U.S. Twin Tower, which killed about more than 2,700 people in U.S., which has been really scary till date, which killed a lot of people. And as we all know, they say that we are trying to make a government peaceful, but there it has never been peaceful. They have always uh, been killing people, a lot of terrorism. They're spreading a lot of terrorism. They are becoming more powerful, which can cause a lot of problem in the futures for different countries. And Afghanistan will no longer be a safe place to live for children and women. And so, in my opinion, I think we should not give Taliban government legitimate status.
So, do you agree with Ujjwal that it will increase China's potential to harm India?
Well, I don't have really knowledge about that thing.
Okay, okay. Thank you for speaking. Now, Shweta, if you can speak.
Am I audible now?
No, yes, yes, you are audible.
So, firstly, I would like to tell about the reason that led to the rise of Taliban in Afghanistan. So, basically, there was a civil war in Afghanistan due to the religious priorities. And the second thing was the corruption that was taking place in Afghanistan. Both these instances can also be seen in India. And with the rise of Taliban, we can also infer that our religious communities that we fight among the Muslim and the Hindus and the rising corruption in our country can also be solved if we have a positive note regarding what is happening in Afghanistan. So, with the rise of Taliban, there was a strict imposition of Sharia law, and all the haunts are being rediscovered because the people and the civilians of Afghanistan are very terrified because the rule from 1996 to 2001 was a very pathetic one, and basically, and the women were there were increasing cases of rape, abductions, and forced relationships as well. So now that their rule is returning back, I don't feel that their government should be legitimated because in any democratic country like India, we have a proper priority for all the sections. Maybe let it be among the Muslims as well, but and the women are also given strict attention towards everything. But in Taliban government, it can be seen that people were banned from schooling, especially the girls, and they were uh, a ban on television, on fashion, on the rise of kite flying that was their professional hobby, and there was a glimpse of mutual understanding between the male counterparts and not much attention was paid on the female, and there were strict laws regarding everything for women. So me being a very womanist, so I would like to legitimate that it is a need of the hour that sometimes some act should be taken with diplomacy as well as, and democracy does not always work in big larger countries, but there is a need of an hour for India to support Afghanistan, because, as usual said, that it would horror us in the further developments if Taliban gains power. Thank you.
Shweta, don't you think that Taliban, like it's promising that it will focus more this time on the humanitarian rights and all, and they are also saying that they will let the women get educated. So don't you think that they should be given a chance?
No, because in the initial stage, this time the parts that they had captured had increased the rise, had increased the cases of abductions, rapes, and same thing can be repeated every time, that if they are promising something, but initially their work has been full of pessimist kind of view, and they are not giving it essential priorities to women. So I don't think they would do this. And there had been recently a case of a girl who was forced to marry someone of the Taliban community. So I don't feel they should be given a chance.
Okay, thank you, Shweta. And now I would like to ask our panel panelists that don't you think that it will su- create a government if we don't talk to Taliban, a pro-Pakistani or Chinese government, which will affect the strategic interest of India. And if we don't talk now, we will not have good diplomatic relations if the Taliban government stays. Let's suppose that we are not seeing any opposition. We are seeing opposition in Panjshir, as usual said, but we are not seeing as much opposition which can dethrone the Talibani government. So don't you think that if they will stay for 20, let's say 10, 20 years at least, then it will not possess any danger for India if they not talk with them? Because India also have border with Afghanistan on the in the uh, connected to the Kashmir, which is currently on the which is currently occupied by the Pakistan. So don't you think that it will be better that we start diplomatic relation or somewhat talks with the Taliban? Uh,
But
yeah, just a second. Ujjwal, you would you like to say anything?
Okay. So, as you have mentioned that we should have a diplomatic talks. So, I want to clarify some point that recently India, the ambassador of India, who is in Qatar, he has some talks, diplomatic talk with the leader of a Taliban, and that leader is also being known to Indian people because he is the alumni of the Indian Military Academy, and he has the knowledge of how a military knowledge and how a diplomacy works. So right now, as the situation is there, the Taliban is being so diplomatic towards other nation that they are saying that they will not uh, do wrong things towards women, children, and the people who have served for other nation, like Afghani people who have served for US, France, Britain, all these people. But after 15 August, we have seen all this situation that they are killing people who have served for different nations. Also, many also a famous TV anchor, news anchor of Afghan. She has also gone to another nation because of the death, because of the afraid of her death, because she is afraid of her death. So these by watching all this thing, and they are also as per the Kabul airport situation, many of the people, Afghani people are moving towards want to move towards different nation because they knew that if the Taliban has occupied all the Afghanistan, but if they form their government, so for showing to other nations, they will do like they are a democratic people. They are providing help to all the Afghani people. All the Afghani people are living their life liberally, but in small towns and many of the things will be hide from the other nation, and they know all these things, the Afghani people. And talking about the situation which can happen with the India relations with India, which is right now in the part of POK. But as we know that Taliban is a terrorist organization and it is funded by ISI and China right now. So Pakistan and China can easily use their terrorist organization, their personal terrorist trained personals who are highly trained in that region, POK region, and they can easily put harm to the Kashmiri people and at the region of Jammu and Kashmir. So this is the first reason why India should be in a diplomatic talks with the Afghanistan. We cannot straight away said that we don't legitimate Taliban as the government of Afghanistan, because if we do so, then they will easily they can easily handle this situation by forcing towards the India by sending their terrorists. Now, second thing, that Taliban also want to be the friendly nation towards India, because as India has invested so much of money and projects in Afghanistan. In 20 years, India has also invested money, and the projects are like they have made schools, dams, bridges, highways, all these things in Afghanistan.
Right, right.
So
So you are saying that India should start talking with one government. Should, like you said, they talked in Doha, but it was initiated by the Taliban. And I am saying that is does Indian government need to initiate the talks and start legitimizing them? Do you think that?
I think so that Indian government should not start the talk. They should force the Talibani people so that they can be under us. They're thinking they all can be under us, and if the Taliban will start the talk with us for being a friendly nation to us, so we can should not use Afghanistan as a terrorist developing organization, and they should not take help of they should not provide help to ISI, which is
Okay.
spy agency of Pakistan. So we
Okay,
can
Ujjwal.
act.
Uh, okay. Now, I would like to know the source of when you said that China is funding the Taliban's. Do you have any source about that?
No, I don't have a legitimate source, but I have searched on news channels and also watched on news channels that as the China is being a friendly towards Taliban, they are not friendly towards the forming the government. They are friendly to the organization, which is a terrorist organization, because they knew that they want
No,
to
no.
become
I
a
am saying
superpower.
that just as you said that China is funding them. So, do you have any credible source about?
No, no, I don't have a credible source.
Okay, so
I've listened to news channels
please.
and all
Uh,
this.
uh, so please don't state such facts.
Okay.
Thank. Thank you, Ujjwal. And now, Subeksha, would you like to add on the same topic?
Uh,
Subeksha, am I audible?
yeah, my internet connection is a bit weak today, so
Okay, okay. So you know what is the topic, right?
yeah. Should Taliban government be given legitimated status?
Ah, so do you think that Indian government should legitimize it and start talking by taking initiation so that it don't become pro Pakistani or pro Chinese, and it has some of normal relations with India. Do you think that?
No, I don't think so. Ah, uh,
Any specific reason for this?
can you repeat the
So,
question again,
so
Manu?
Beksha means to say that that India should not take initiation and would like to. Sorry, you are not properly audible. If you can repeat. So, Beksha, are you there?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Uh, yeah.
Leave that topic. You can rather say on the women, the condition women or religious minorities rather. You can say on that.
Okay.
Do you
So
think that what should India do on this topic and all?
India should do.
What India can do, or what India should start, or what is the condition of women and religious minorities, and anything you want to say?
Okay. So the women and the children are mostly affected right now in Afghanistan. They have been treated really badly. As we all know, the history of Taliban, they have been really cruel. They have been making unwanted rules, saying that they should cover their whole body, and not giving jobs to them, no, not giving proper value to their work, and saying that they should stay home, and you know, doing unwanted uh, unwanted rules and regulation, being really harsh on them. And right now, there have been a lot of gun firing and bombs, even though they said that they want to maintain a really good peaceful environment. They have not stuck to their word, and as they were during 1996, they made a lot of uh, bomb blast, and like they said they would change and make a peaceful government this time, but they have not stick to that word, and have been causing a lot of troubles to the children and women in Afghanistan right now.
Okay, thank you, Subiksha. And now, Shweta, would you like to add on the topic? Should India should initiate talks the Taliban?
Yes, I feel that India should not start up with it, because in the initial stages when Taliban government was not really formed in 1995, the government that was there in Afghanistan took up the initiation, seeing the brutality of Taliban community, and they took the initiation. But after then, the Taliban government had become so powerful that they actually submerged them, and there was no power with the government of Afghanistan then. So, as we are talking about the diplomatic relations with Afghanistan, so I don't think India should interfere. Otherwise, we can have a strong group formed by many countries who can actually subside the Taliban government there, rather than taking up the initiation. And
Don't you think that if we don't do such thing, that we don't start diplomatic relations or initiate talks with Taliban, then there would be a more strategically located country which will go to the Chinese or Pakistani side. Other than we can say China already surrounded us from all over. Bangladesh have some port of China. Sri Lanka 99 years to the Chinese government. Other than this, on the Djibouti, which is in the Africa, they have surrounded us from all the sides. Also, Pakistan is also pro-China. So, uh, can we take such a risk of leaving such a country as important as Afghanistan, so that we can suffer a loss in future?
Not talking about the future, but in present, if we initiate friendly relations with them, I don't feel that whatever they say that they will be the democratic country and they will not harm the people who are supporting US. So they will actually do it, and if we take initiation, they will actually conquer our country as well. I don't feel that if we are against Afghanistan, if it is supposed that we are in danger because China has actually actually attacked from all the sides. If we take any initiation of against if we take any initiation against Afghanistan, but if we initiate friendly relations as well, then I don't think that the Taliban government would not actually save us, but it would harm us in any way possible, because the basic mentality is to harm. I don't feel that they want to establish a democratic government, or they are having a humanitarian point of view beside their mentality.
Okay, thank you, Shweta. And now, Ujjwal, would you like to add some point on women empowerment and conditions of minorities in Afghanistan?
So the condition from 1996 onwards, when the Taliban government was formed for 4 years, from 1996 to 2000 or 2001. At that moment of time, also, as the thinking of the Talibani leader at that moment of time was very, very, very much as towards the Sharia law. Uh, Talking about towards latest Talibani people. But the situation is that the Taliban organization is formed on that thinking. So the smaller people, the smaller members of Taliban who are the fighters, they have they have joined this organization because of this thinking. So the leaders of Taliban can't completely change the thinking of their members, the fighters thinking. And if the government is formed, then only if the government is formed, um, we can't say that the thinking of the fighters will be changed. They will treat the women, the children, and the peoples and the men of Afghanistan who are supporting, who have given support to other nation while fighting to with Taliban. They will not treat them in a good manner. And according to their Sharia law, as the woman had to wear a full body burqa. I've studied also that in 1900s, around 1966 to 55 70, at that period of time, Afghanistan was a very liberal country. The women have the ability to wear western clothes also, like the western countries women wear. But after the formation of these terrorist group, and by the thinking, the women are not allowed to do even basic for buying basic thing, like if the government is formed, then we can't say that the leaders are saying this. So the Talibani leaders are saying this, that they will create a democratic country. First of all, they if the democratic country will be created, but the supreme leader will be the leader of the Taliban. So if the person will choose a democratic president or prime minister for their nation, but the supreme leader will be the Talibani leader who have the thinking related to the Sharia law. So whatsoever will be the case, the rules will be provided to the people, or they have to follow the Sharia law only. And as per the situation of the whole world, as the all of the world are being developed or in the phase of developing nation, they all have to be little advanced. But the thinking of the Talibani people are not so advanced. So and therefore the as the government is saying that they have money, labor, skills, but they don't have all these things. The people who have the skills, they can be they can work for the government of Afghanistan. They are killing them, or the people are going to other nation. So first of all, if they made the government, and if the whole world
Ujjwal, if you
allowed
can please conclude fast.
okay, so I want to say that if they form a democratic government, or the whole world will mention them as a legitimate government party status, uh, that will not be that will so we cannot say that the condition of women, children, and the men will be okay. They will not get the opportunity to do work. They will not get the opportunity to protest against the Talibani government, if so ever if the rules were not as per the allowance of the normal people, Afghani people.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ujjwal. And now, Shweta, would you like to say on this topic?
Yes, as Ujjwal already gave a
Uh,
glimpse on how women were treated, I just want to add 2 points. The children, especially the girls, were banned from schooling, and from makeup to shoes, everything was monitored. So after some years, these women stopped having hopes and the need to grow, and even the men were not allowed to shave, and there were strict rules regarding everything. So the now that the rule had been returning, the people are remembering the haunts of Taliban community that they had witnessed in 1966 to 2001, and the regressive policies are haunting them as well. I also don't feel that the condition of women will change if the Taliban government decide promising them status. I don't feel they will give the enough status that women are required to have.
okay, thank you, Shweta. And now, Subeksha, would you like to conclude the meeting?
Okay, so as we all of them said that Taliban has always caused a lot of problem. They have not stick to their word, and not they said that they'll be peaceful and not use be peaceful and not do a lot of crimes or reduce the things they used to do in past when they were in control in Afghanistan. They are not stick to that word, and they have been making a lot of strict rules we have been which have been very difficult for the people living in the Afghanistan, making unwanted rules for children and minor. And people in Afghanistan have always since the Taliban has entered in Afghanistan, they have been living in fear, always scared, not living peacefully like they used to do before. So in end, I just want to say that Taliban government should not be given legitimate status. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Uh, if you can stop the recording.